Okay, we are here with former Santa Monica mayor and two-term council member Sue Himmelrich, who's now running for the Rent Control Board. Welcome, Sue. Great to see you. And why don't you tell us about how you decided to run for Rent Control Board and about why you're running?
Well, it's nice to see everybody, and I, as you know, stopped being in city government in 2022 when I didn't run for mayor or run for city council again. I had always said I would do 8 years. That was what I did. But I remain committed to the issues of tenants, to housing issues, and to making the city more affordable. I'm also committed to many of the principles I discussed in my application, but I think my positions on the fact that we have too much wealth at the top and that there's too little distribution and too little social mobility, et cetera. And I think the housing crisis is reflective of what's happening to people, that people are being discouraged from owning things ever again, that you don't own your car, you don't own your house, you don't own your phone, right? And so I think that renting is going to be a permanent state of affairs, actually, for most of us, and that your home is your home, and the place you rent is your home, and you're entitled to feel as if it's your home.
Okay, thanks. So we have some questions for you. I wanted to start. I don't think anyone doubts your qualifications for the position. You know, this has been part of your existence the whole time we've known you. But my question is, with the strong incumbent who's already on the rent control board, and we've interviewed several impressive candidates today already who are new and stepping up to the plate, what would you say to Democrats who believe that one of our movement's responsibilities is to cultivate and elevate a new generation of leadership and who are wondering whether this is a moment whether someone with your experience should make room and help to mentor the next generation rather than take one of their spots?
Well, I think you all probably are aware I've always believed that we should make room for the younger generation. Indeed, I have children in their 30s who are looking for room themselves. And I do understand the frustration of younger people in feeling that we're standing in their way. But I do think that there's a strong through line that maybe younger people don't understand the way those of us who have been through 50 years of battles over equity issues and trying to make the world a better place, including for renters and particularly for low income people. I mean, I thought about how I could best use my time as I age, right? I am in the process of trying to retire from my day job. It's been a slow process. I've been working on it for a couple of years. But I think that I may accomplish it this year. I may transition to the board of Western Center, but nevertheless, I'll remain involved and I am a loyal person. I believe in Santa Monica. I believe in the mission of Western Center. Um, and I know many of the younger people who are running. I've talked to a couple of them. Obviously, I know Kay. And I welcome them and enjoy them, but I think that I bring something different to the table, which is, as I said, a continuity of prior policies and a commitment to people before anything else.
Got it. Thanks. Okay. Isabel.
Yeah, hi Sue.
Hi, Isabel.
Um, so you're one of the main architects and proponents of Measure GS, GSH. In the intervening time, how has it lived up to your expectations, and what does it accomplish? But also, has it fallen short in any ways?
Well, so I've done GS twice, as you know. The first one was the half-cent sales tax with a quarter cent for the schools and a quarter cent for the city. I don't think the schools are complaining. I think the city has not passed through those funds, and that was how I learned enough to do the second GS, which does not rely on the city council to dispense its funds, but rather was a vote of the people, and they don't have discretion to take them away.
Mm.
So between the two GSs and GSH, we've done more than $60 million, raised more than $60 million for the city So far, I think and that doesn't count the school money. This is for our initiatives. I think that there's an additional 30,000 that the schools have received, 30 million, I'm sorry. But it's been slow. It's been politics. I mean, our political system is unwieldy. We had a council that may not have been as responsible about the GS funds as they might have been, right? So consequently, it took a long time to get a GS committee together, which was required to disperse the funds. We just dispersed the first 6 million. So am I disappointed? Yes, I'm somewhat disappointed. On the other hand, my return on investment is about 900 to some massive sum of what we put in because we really financed it completely ourselves. And so for the second GS anyway, for $400,000, if we've raised $70 million, I think that that's a good return on investment. And I think that people don't often think about the fact that they can change things with smart investments in our community.
And just to, give a little more detail to that as far as what it's accomplished, because I have followed a bit like how some of this money's been allocated, but what are the good things that you think some of this money is being used for now?
Well, of course, the pod program, which was a creation of the council I was on, with a lot of help from my husband, as you all know. I mean, we've done most of this as a team, and we continue to operate as a team. We always will. So I'm glad he's not here because I don't want to hear him saying such nice things. But anyway, no. Look, we have operated as a team. We did the pod program. We pushed for its expansion over and over and over again because we think it should
Can you
be.
explain what it is? Not everyone who's going to watch this later is going to know what it is. Like, I want you to be able to say, how has this actually helped renters in Santa Monica?
Okay, so the pod program is a program. I'm sorry, I do shortcut because I assume everybody knows what I know.
We might know.
My bad. Okay, the pod program is called Preserve Our Diversity. It's a program that was started in, I want to say 2017 or 2018. And what it does is and kudos to Patricia for this, because she gave us this idea of backfilling the income for people who couldn't afford to stay in their rent-controlled apartments, right? And it's not really a traditional triage program because we know there are some people we can't save, but what it does is it fills in the gap between people who are lower fixed income senior tenants who can't afford their rent, and it gives them what it takes to make up their rent. So consequently, we've kept 400, I think, seniors in their housing, something like that. But it should be expanded to families. I think that our future is not, well, let me put it this way. Our immediate future may not be in building new affordable housing because of the expense of it. And the main way we may be able to help people on fixed incomes, people with disabilities, people who are experiencing stresses that don't allow them to pay their rent, all of those things, medical bills, that what this will allow us to do is keep them in their homes, and so we will fill in the difference between something that should be an affordable rent, because that the program focuses on rent controlled tenants who are living in apartments that have fairly low rents that they can afford. So I think this program should be expanded. We're doing that. We're expanding the right to counsel program, something we already did when I was on the council. These are programs that we already implemented, but should be expanded. And there has been no expansion of them because the council has not passed through the original GS funds, right? And most of the current GS funds, but that should change. Did that answer, Isabel? I'm sorry, and I don't mean to.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, let's go to Lynn.
Hi, Sue.
Hi,
In,
Lynn.
in your questionnaire, you stressed that tenant safety and security should not be sacrificed for housing production. How can the city balance that need for more housing with strong protections for renters? How can that be done? How can
Well,
it be balanced?
I understand. the truth is that most of our affordable housing is our rent control stock, which is existing and was existing prior to rent control. So in other words, in 1998, this is existing housing. It's now, 40 years old, 50 years old, and it is by the nature of its age affordable, unlike the new stuff that's being built that is not rent controlled, will not be rent controlled because of Costa-Hawkins. Um, and the deal we struck when we implemented rent control. So we need a balance between new units, expansion of units, and keeping people in their place and allowing them security in their place, in their home. And this is a balance that's easy in this city because we've committed our public land to housing, to affordable housing. We have our downtown, which is, and I was just looking at the rent control numbers because I just looked at the rent control board report this morning. There is not enough housing in the downtown. There's not, I hate to say this, there isn't enough housing in other areas of the city, including the commercial boulevards, and we can do both things. There's no reason we have to demolish or otherwise relocate people from their homes to make room for new housing. Did that answer you, Lynn?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Sean next.
Thank you, Sue, for being with us. One thing that I think is important for Santa Monica and as someone that really appreciates the protections that we have is we're kind of a leader in this space. Not all of the municipalities have this level of protection for tenants, and it may be under threat at the state level or from other forces. What, and I think your experience in this area comes to bear. If elected to rent control board, how will you act as kind of a leader to kind of help other communities kind of put in place policies that we know work based on our experience in our community?
Well, so I think I've already done this. I'm a member of the statewide renters caucus. I was for quite a while on the National Poverty Council, that is a council with the DNC. Um, I talk to people all the time. I speak on panels about this. And I talk to anybody who knows me knows that I have an open door policy. If you call and want to talk to me, I invite you to come talk to me and at my house, right? I mean, I want to have that dialogue. I believe in it. I don't shy from the difficult conversations, and I won't do that. And moving forward, I will continue to do what I do, which is advocate for people who simply are being shut out of our current society because they can't afford to live here. Did that answer, Sean? Do you want more?
Well, I mean, that answers the question. You could always give more, but I think I do
Okay, good.
appreciate that you've been doing
I
this.
want to make sure because I didn't quite answer Isabel's question or not in a way that was okay. So I will check with everyone now.
Okay, let's go to Marcy next.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Sue. I think one of the challenges for people who are in rent-controlled units is feeling uncomfortable with asking for repairs or improvements. And is there a way, I don't know that there actually is to make that feel less intimidating?
That's an interesting question. I'm glad you asked it. We have had struggles with code enforcement. I think everybody is aware for years and years and years, and those struggles continue to this day. I think that there is a way that it can be fixed. I think maybe responsibility for code enforcement should not be in the planning department. It maybe should be elsewhere. And unfortunately, this is not in the rent control bailiwick, so to speak. But as I always have, I'll continue to speak out of turn and talk about things like this that I think are real problems for tenants on the ground.
Right. I mean, I think one of the challenges which came out of Surfside disaster in Florida is that around the country, there are now laws that condos and co-ops have to have reserve funds. And I mean, I own a place where the HOA went up 40% when that was implemented because it's a 40, 50-year-old building with elevators.
That's a problem. And again, I'm happy to talk to you. I think that there are often other ways to thread the needle. And one of my real wheelhouses is thinking about different solutions to problems that people haven't solved before. So I'm happy to work with you on that, even though, as I said, it's not in the bailiwick of the Rent Control Board.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, I'll ask you one. So, been talking to about SB 79 and the idea of state bills, state attempts to um, produce more housing locally, and the issues that how that interacts with the rent control charter and the displacement that occurs. So, with that context in mind, and going on to the rent control board, what kind of state bills and legislative solutions to the housing crises do you see that would be something that we would want to champion? Have there been ideas or big bills that you think we should be supporting?
Well, look, I've supported every measure to get rid of Costa-Hawkins, to get rid of the Ellis Act. I've been doing it for years. That's not going to change. I'll continue to take all the positions I took before. That being said, I think that the California uh, government structure right now is not friendly to rent control on the national level. There is a lot of frustration with rent control. People don't understand that rent control is not affordable housing, that it's meant to be a different tool. I think that people don't understand that there are multiple tools in our toolbox to deal with these affordability issues. Rent control is a different kind of tool than affordable housing. And I think we need to continue to stress that rent control doesn't really, with Costa-Hawkins anyway, suppress housing prices because the rents decontrol the market. So the idea that rent control housing is not market rate housing is wrong. And if you look at the statistics from the Rent Control Board in the Rent Control Board report, in fact, 75% of our units over the past 30 years have been, or 20 years, have been decontrolled. And that's hurt us badly. It's why we are less affordable now than we were. But given that we have Costa-Hawkins and Ellis, I think that it's important to understand and to make people understand that rent control is an important tool, not for people in the lowest brackets of income because it no longer serves that basis because we don't have naturally occurring affordable housing anymore. But what it does do is let people know that if they rent that apartment, it can be their home for the next 30 years and their rent will be predictable.
Very true. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have. Thanks for coming, Sue. Appreciate you.
Thanks, John. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for doing this. I know it's a long day. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Sue. See you later.